So now getting to how do you recognize if somebody's a bad person or not? And this is a really interesting concept to think of in terms of one, the Bible, because later on, I believe in the book of Proverbs, it also mentions how bad people, they don't even realize what makes them bad people. But it's also important to discuss in the current societal context that we have, where everything is very, very, very over psychoanalyzed, very over diagnosed, and it's so easy to get very black and white in terms of, well, I don't like that person, therefore they're bad and they're evil. For me, I really realized that it was like, I was like, this is this has gone too far. When I saw that there was this BBC article, and I was like, what? And it was like, you've heard of narcissists, you've heard of covert narcissists, but here's a new thing, and it's like a dark empath. And it's like somebody who is capable of feeling the spectrum of human emotions, but chooses to do wrong anyway. And I'm like, okay, like, you mean a dick? Like, you mean that person's an asshole? Like, we already know that that exists. It's not like some evil thing. That's not a disorder. That's just being a dick, like a dark empath. That's why I was like, okay, that's enough. And yeah, so oppositely, we get a lot of people that are like, I'm an empath. I can tell how you are feeling because I just decide how you're feeling. Or it's always like, the worst person you've ever met will be like, my major flaw is that I love too hard. What? Like, my major flaw is that I love too hard. I'm like, that's so you mean that you have no boundaries with people and you only perceive people in terms of what you think they should want, even when they tell you that they don't want that or to be treated by you like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of self descriptions and descriptions of others as being they're automatically evil, or I don't like them, so they're evil, blah, 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 blah. And don't get me wrong, like narcissists, of course they exist. That's why it's like a diagnosed thing. And it is a mental disorder. Narcissists, they're not able to view people as anything more than relational objects. So what makes a narcissist is that they're incapable of viewing you as anything other than like a lamp in their room, where when you're out and about, you're not really thinking about what your lamp in your room is up to, right? Because it's a lamp in your room. And narcissists are so dangerous and toxic because they're not able to view the people around them as people with actual lives of their own. They only view people in relation to them. If they're not speaking to a person, that person might as well not exist to them, right? And that's why it's like an actual disorder. There's like a problem in your brain in the way that it's wired. But a bad person is not necessarily a narcissist, and most people aren't. That's why it's like a mental disorder. So in terms of a good or a bad person, in terms of learning and finding out whether or not someone is good or bad, also it continues, like the book of Proverbs continues on and discusses, ways to behave and how to act and how to be a good person. And it's important to recognize that when you are going out of your way to be a good person and to treat people as if they are good people, and to behave and treat people in a way where you have a standard as to how you treat everyone, and it is as an inherently good person, which is walking in the path of God. It's not martyrdom to be the bigger person and to treat other people with kindness from the get-go versus, viewing people with suspicion from the get-go, because of the fact that you will be able to recognize that a person is not a good person and not somebody that you want to associate yourself with, by how they behave when you treat them as if they're a good person. So it's not like a martyrdom based way to behave by making sure that you're also always acting with a standard as to how you treat others. In my case, as a Christian, that's how I treat others. That's another reason why I love, being part of a religion, being part of a faith that is bigger than myself, because I just have that standard that's just set as a Christian. And that's also what a lot of Muslims, that's the standard that they set. That's the standard that a lot of Jewish people set for themselves, a lot of Hindus. That's pretty across the board for all spiritual faiths and religions, right? But certain traits that I have been able to learn, the good ways and the hard ways, and ways to protect yourself, I'll also just mention that too, is basically, I mean, obviously, if somebody cut and dry is like, let's go hurt some people, yeah, obviously they're not a good person if they're like, let's just go and cause harm to others. But that's often not, people don't just say that. And you're not often able to tell from the get-go if a person is a good person or a bad person. So it's important to take time when you're getting to know people, especially in romantic relationships, especially in friendships. Don't just dive in and blindly trust people. Treat them with kindness and allow them to reveal their characters, their character to you. If you find out that somebody's making fun of you behind your back, not a good person. If you find out that somebody thinks that it's acceptable to steal from other people, not a good person, because those are choices that not just benefit themselves, but also benefit them while also causing harm to others. If you find that somebody is constantly talking about other people and that they have nothing else to say but negative things about other people, that person is not a good person. You don't want to be around them, because when you're not in the room, guaranteed, you are not the exception. They will be talking smack about you as well. And gossip and damage to people's reputations can have serious effects on people's ability to live their lives, on people's ability to build a professional reputation. I've dealt with some stuff myself that I've really had to navigate. That was really difficult. But the way that I was able to keep myself safe was by treating people as if they were good people. And then when it was revealed that they were just consistently making the most harmful choice possible, no matter what, no matter how much they knew that was harmful, you still treat them like a Christian. You just don't trust them, right? That's the important thing. Yeah, if somebody does a lot of drugs and then is like, you should do them with me. And I'm saying that as somebody that used to do a lot of drugs and was like that. At that point in my life, it was not a good idea to be associated with me, because I would pull you into that path with me to justify my own choices. So that's not a good person. And again, addiction is tough, because addiction forces you, when you're in the throes of addiction, everything becomes about the addiction. So you're willing to lie, you're willing to steal, you're willing to do this. It's not like I did that, because I never was like, it wasn't like I was ever, in a massive position of like I was homeless or anything. So like, and again, I never, I don't know. I've always felt like stealing from people it's just a shitty thing to do. But yeah, somebody that is consistently dedicated to chaos and to causing just strife, somebody that can't control their emotions, even though they know how much their emotions can harm others, that is not a good person. And we'll discuss that a bit more in the next episode, because I think that the drug analogy was a really, really important analogy to mention, in terms of it's really important to take the wisdom of others, specifically the wisdom of God, because that like this is good. It's cut and dry. It's like, it's all about being a good person versus being a bad person. It's pretty consistent through the ages. It doesn't have anything to do with your economic status or the times in which we live in. It's not contextual. So that's very helpful. But it's important to remember that going down these paths are not necessarily as easily remedied as you might think. And again, a lot of the things that I have overcome, yes, absolutely. There have been external situations in my life that I did not, you can't compare for things that are tragedies, are tragedies or external circumstances or, people and stuff like that that are just committed to fixated and causing harm and stuff that, I've had to work around and I, I, it just happened and I didn't have any control over that. But there were times in my life where because of, my attitude, because of my dependency on substances, because of stuff like that, where I had to get out of that, right? And I had to fix my path. And while I learned a lot from that and it's made me a much stronger person, I also am a firm believer that as much as possible, learning through soft love versus learning through tough love, soft love is the way to go. So that's why it's important, really important, and why I'm really hammering it home that getting the wisdom from other people versus having to fuck around and find out for yourself, that's the way to go. But yeah, so I hope that episode was helpful. I might end up doing a little bit of a two-parter because I feel like it's a long one. But it's also going to come up again. So we'll discuss more in depth good people, not so good people, how you can navigate around them, how you can figure out how to trust, who to trust, how to trust, the extent to which you can trust, and why it's really important to always treat people as if they're inherently good people. And the boundaries lie not in your willingness to treat them with kindness, but in your willingness to intertwine your lives with theirs, follow the same path as theirs, and trust them in the same way as you would trust a good person who has earned your trust. Okay, cool. I think that's everything on this. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for everybody who, is watching this. I hope that it's helpful. I really hope that it's helpful. And I just cannot overstate how much I appreciate anybody and everybody who chooses to watch this because I'm really, really enjoying being, getting back into my yap mode and feeling like I have things to say, right? And I hope that it helps. I hope that the stuff that I'm saying is helpful. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, girlies. I will see you guys next episode.